I,
just
I,
just off the hump.
yeah, well, Don, since we are talking about, how we were raised and what that looked like versus, a modern and old school. Let's fast forward 20 more years to where we all are fathers, right? And there's a lot of shit going on in the world today. Social media, and we talking about, boys dealing with hormones and us having to deal with their testosterone too, and our own testosterone, right? I mean, Colin, you talked about I don't have boys, so let's break it down, right? Like for me, I'll start on terms of like what I'm dealing with as a fatherhood currently. Man, I have two girls, and I'm in a house full of women, and the estrogen levels be high. You know what I'm saying? And as much as discernment as I have, you know what I mean, it's still hard to read every emotion and spirit and energy in here, right? And then having a preteen, Logan's, she 12, she turning 13. And the other day, she had a little attitude on me, and I think y'all heard me in the previous post. I'm not a physical person, like in terms of I don't believe in beating my daughters, and we can get into that for whatever reasons. But this particular time, she was being disrespectful to her sister. She was being disrespectful to her mother, and I swear to God, I was trying my best to mind my business. But you know how it is when you the father, you the man of the household, and you hear something out of line, out of pocket. You kind of be like, "Whoa, wait a minute, time out, man. Let me holler at you." So I pull her to the side, and she's still giving me energy, y'all. Like she's still giving me energy.
I'm boiling right now listening to the story.
All of a sudden, she just like, and like walks away. And my thermostat just went like, and while she's walking away, I grab her and I'm like, pow, on her butt. She turns around and like she just balls out crying. And I'm gonna tell y'all, my insides was crying too. Cause I'm like, I broke a rule for one to myself. And then she felt that rule being broken. And man, that shit just broke me down. Like the whole day was bad for me. I was calling her, apologizing. We was apologizing. But yeah, man, that's just trying to balance out the emotions of my girls, and then the fact that the other side of her preteen is the fact that she's dealing with like boys, like heavy. Yeah,
you can't bro. We gotta sit still for a second,
yeah,
cause you're not about to just unload that and then like just jump the boys.
Let me ask, if I can. Let me ask. I got 3 questions for you. One, would you have preferred for your wife to have been the one to do the discipline in that moment? 2, where was your wife? And 3, what did she end up saying about the situation?
No. I'm gonna start backwards. She ended up telling me to suck that shit up. That's what I should have done. And that I can't have her manipulating emotions in X, Y, and Z.
That's what I was gonna say too, dog. Like, isn't it our place as men, right? And I think about the balance of men and women in the household and why our kids need both. But like, isn't it our place as men to be the structure and the correction in the household so that our kids, especially our daughters in this case, right, can feel their emotions and have a safe space to feel, but also know that like your feelings can't dictate how you respond.
Well, I don't know that to be the case though, because I think we might all have a difference of opinion. But that is the questions that I was asking as a lead up to what you're saying right now.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with what y'all are leading to. I do think too the question about what Sean was saying, the modern approach and the gentle approach applies here. And then it also applies in terms of knowing your child, right? I now know, right? She doesn't need physical enforcement to course correct. That's the same way, like I come from a certain area where you play it.
Hey, so I see that y'all found us, man. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Welcome. We love you guys. We would love for y'all to stay connected as well. So please please, please, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. This is what we all needed.
And I never believed in physical enforcement, right? So that's just where I come from. My dad never put his hands on me, so it just looked different.
I don't know. Yeah, in my mind, I go back and forth with it because, like I said, I don't trust myself on the physical side, so I try to stay away from it. And at the same time, I'm honest with my kids in that, like, listen, I desire to not put my hands on you. However, like, there are certain things that could happen that I either one may logically decide this is a moment where it constitutes me put my hands on you, or two, I'm so triggered in the moment that I can't stop myself from doing it. And I'm honest with them and telling them this because I wanted to give them the opportunity to, like, let's not test that out. You know what I'm saying? Like I want you to think twice about doing something so egregious that, like, damn, he might put his hands on me on this one, like, or for your safety, like, I might need a call. And I think I even said this to my son one time, like, I might need to call him in advance while he's still at work and drop this on him so he has time to cool off. This might not be a face-to-face thing now, you know. But my question to Ali, because in my mind I'm like, I mean, that's kind of God, like, right? Like, God ain't gonna spank us every time, but every once in a while he is, just to remind us what's up, like that structure piece. But I just heard you say I don't think she needs that. So next time, like, what is your moving forward? Like, what is your plan the next time? And it's going to be something different, but those same emotions are evoked. It's that level of disrespect. Like, what is your strategy next time?
Taking the doors off the hinges. I'm taking everything that she likes away from her. Her privacy is what she holds, like, number one now. Preteens, I don't know if y'all know, but, like, they like to close the door and they like to be in a corner somewhere. So the next thing will be, now I know that, right? It'll be her privacy.
Mm.
I respect that.
As y'all was talking, even with that, right? It's called them. So I was like, as fathers, dog, like, our kids really get the opportunity to see the worst of us. And I say that because most of us know how to, like, navigate in the world with, especially us, our group. Like, we know how to navigate in the world with a certain level of couth and movement. And even if somebody pisses us off in the world, we already know, like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you before I shoot your stupid ass, right? But with our kids, it's like, one, right, and not for us alone, but for humans, like, our kids, one, they get us mad or they do something that's disrespectful in that joint. Like you said, the meter rises immediately. But there are people out there who, our kids are also subordinate to us, right? They're naturally submissive to us because they're not as strong. And so if you're not a person who knows how to, like, regulate, or if you're a person who has really bad habits that you haven't corrected, your kid's gonna catch all of that because there's nothing there to stop you.
Yeah.
There's nothing there to stop you in whatever emotional moment you're having from fully enacting that moment in your kids. And that's why I always say, like, kid, if you really truly love your kids, nothing truly raises a human being, a woman or a man, I would say, like having children. Because you have to strive to be the best version of yourself to even whoop that child and then feel that and be like, I'm gonna take a different approach. And I think that's how, I'm going on the hump, but I think, like, as fathers, that may be where some men struggle in terms of, like, how they may get abusive with their kids, is because they don't have a sense of control over, how they respond, and they need to gain that.
Yeah. I like that. Like, the fact that you felt that way is good. It's a good sign. I'm concerned if you have those kind of moments and feel nothing. So that's a good sign.
I mean, I would feel that way if that was my son, though, to be honest with you. It wouldn't matter.
I've been through it, my guy.
Yeah, like, to me, I never come from that place where you gotta break somebody down. Like, and I don't know if y'all can attest to that, but I that's what I stand on. Like, I don't believe in breaking nobody down.
Well, look, if I'm gonna tell a little bit about where I'm at right now, but maybe we circle. I heard you about to go into the boys thing.
No.
I was gonna say is maybe we circle back for Patreon. Want to check my niece? She might not want that on the main episode. First of all, all right, and then, and then I ain't even ready to hear it, man. I can't. I'm not looking forward to that age. But yeah, for me,
Woo.
man, I got two major areas that's like a major focus in fatherhood right now. For time's sake, the one I'm gonna speak to is the one that aligns with education, because that's me. And I'm in the season with both of my kids actually, but the challenges are coming more on with the oldest one. But just advocating for them and their education, the frequent staying on top of them at home with the organization and the time management of schoolwork, and what it looks like to have to study sometimes, what it looks like to have to like that perseverance, like because now they're getting older, school is causing more challenges than it has before, right? So working through them at the home side, and then on the school side, advocating for them, emailing teachers, when they drop the ball, reaching out to the teachers, trying to work with them to pick up the pieces, stuff like that. And which that's typical. The balance for me, and this is the challenge coming for the older one, where and maybe y'all can give me some advice. On one side of the coin, like I'm not about to sit here and watch you crash out, right? Like I'm gonna make sure because you too smart not to be successful academically. Just because you keep forgetting to turn assignments in or turn stuff later, miss stuff, like that's my biggest pet, like is right. I, so before I let that happen, I'm gonna reach out to the teacher, whatever, right? But and on the other side of the coin, I don't want to enable you and you never learn, and then you 25 and you still dependent on people to pick up your pieces, right? Now, here's me taking some accountability. That was me growing up. Like, if it wasn't for Beverly Renee Haynes, my mother, like staying on top of my schoolwork and staying on top of me, it's no way. And I'm talking about all the way through I can remember days in undergrad freshman year, her calling me like, "Hey, you got that test Friday. Don't stay out too late." Calling me in the morning, making sure I ain't miss my alarm, just like because I don't want you to fumble this bag and get this degree, And I don't want to have to do that for him, but I also don't want to sit here and let him fail now. And I don't. I just it's a little a game. I don't know what the middle ground is, man. So I don't know if y'all can relate, experience that. I got some
I'm
advice for me,
I'm
but
I'm picking on you, but I'm also not picking on you. You kind of still like that now.
yeah,
Even at this age, that you tell us that all the time. Like even at this age, you still like I need accountability. Like I need all these checks and balances in place to be successful. And my question for you, my curiosity here is like, and especially as it relates to your son, is like my curiosity here is like, is that just who you are? And knowing yourself at this age is important so that you can have that community accountability, or are you like that because she did that?
that's a good question. I want to say that's just who I am, but then I'm like, or is that who I am because I was never allowed to be anything else? The best way I can answer that is just like here's what's been happening, right, as I'm growing and maturing. Because where my mom dropped off when I got married, my wife picked up, right, in terms of holding me accountable. And every once in a while, my mom would still hit me up like, "Hey, don't forget," that's just the relationship we have. Um, but in growing up and manning up, I've had to recognize those things about myself and then create my own accountability through having systems and structures in place, alarms. I do this way every day at this time, and I need to stick to that, right? So I've learned to start having that self accountability. It's still not natural to me. I'm not just some automatic like go with it. But if I create a process, that's me creating that balance point to stay in.
I'm glad you said this. This reminds me of the statement like if you don't know where you from, then you don't know where you're going. You know what I'm saying? I'd be interested in hearing a conversation from you and your mom, right? Just talking about parenting and how parenting has shaped us and then how we parent. I'd be interested in hearing a conversation from your mom, or at least a response from you. If you went to your mom and said, "Mom, like, why'd you do this for me? Did you do this for me because you realized I was like this and I needed it, or is this who you are in terms of like I want to use the word micromanage, but I don't know if that's the correct term.
Yeah.
Because then you might be able to see, like, dang, like, was she just being intentional about what she was doing for me? Or did she you know what I'm saying? She recognizing, like, this is who I am. And then she gave me an alternative parenting style. Or is my mom like,
Yeah.
and
Well, look,
because she's like
we
that,
got a
she
call
created
scheduled
this.
today. Me and mom. So you might have gave us a conversation starter. But yeah, you got my wheels turning, man. I'm like that even at work for my subordinates. Like I'll tell them like, hey, so like if it's like just for my to-do list, email me. But if you need a quick response, send me a text message. For fact, like I give them things to do to like, or I'll be like, hey, like if for that project that I oversee, but you're manning it, like feel free to boss me around. I'm a servant leader. Like don't wait around looking for my support. If you need my support, let me know. Come to me directly. Tell me, like remind me if I forgot to do something you asked me to do. Like I tell my subordinates this at work.
I think I tell you, I want to be able to help you with the situation, and you should. That's a great question. I think when we think about accountability, we think of one thing we're accountable to, and then we call ourselves accountable. And I don't think that's fair, right? I don't think accountability is an umbrella of things. And so, Carl, I want to give you some credit. You're definitely accountable in certain areas, right? A lot more accountable in certain areas than some people are, including myself. And so, are we accountable in 100% of the things that we need to be accountable for? No. Is our children going to be accountable for 100% of the things they need to be accountable for? No. That's why you have community. That's why you have partnership. That's why you have the other half, right? Because you're never going to be 100% accountable to or disciplined or obedient to like what it is that this world is holding you accountable to. So I would say give yourself some grace, right? Give your kids some mercy, right? And know your child and help him be accountable in the areas that he's very good at being accountable at, because those are going to be the things that's going to help him be successful. And then the other parts, make sure he surround himself in the community that's going to hold him accountable to those things that he's not good at.
Yeah. I like the fact that you celebrated Colin, you know what I'm saying, and gave him space to celebrate his son. And still, I think this brings up an interesting topic as fathers. Like when we see certain habits in our kids, do we accept that, hey man, this is just the way my kid is, and then we provide, as you said, the community or the support to help them win despite them being this way, right? Or maybe not the word despite, but we provide them with the resources to be successful? Or do we watch that thing and be like, nah, I want to do something intentionally to change that behavior?
I've seen it as a coach so many times where in two different perspectives, where a father is trying to be everything to a kid, right? To hold him accountable to everything. And the father ain't really good at some of the stuff he's trying to hold him accountable to, right? I've seen parents who know that, then say, yeah, I'm bringing them here to this program because I need them to a space and to help. So you understand what I'm saying? Like you can't do everything. You can't be the accountable partner for everything. That's why your wives, I'm talking about something else, need to be in another community, because you can't hold them accountable to some of the shit. So, I mean, we got to be conscious of when you say, I want my kid to be better at that, so I'm gonna be the one to push them in that, and you may not be the person to do that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, why pop baby girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why pop baby girl if the goal wasn't to change a behavior? Versus being like, I seen that behavior. Maybe, and then finding the good in that behavior, and then being like, you know what, I ain't gonna try to change that behavior. I'm just gonna give them the support to navigate them to using that behavior in the correct way.
That's post. That's having hindsight, right? So that was a new experience for me, and I can give myself some grace and mercy and understand that was a new experience for me. Yeah. So I get the question why Popper, but in that moment, to Colin's point, right? You don't know your reasoning and why sometimes, right? So that's why I think it's very good to be able to practice holding the emotions. But I didn't know. I was flawed in that moment.
Brother Sean, I value your advice in this area, just because you have a lot of you're going to see this through your lens, which is going to give me a different perspective, and because you have a lot of context for me and Cam, so that's why I want to hear your thoughts on this.
What's the question?
Just on how I better balance or go about like being an overbearing helicopter, overly, like how do I grow him and not handicap him? That's the question. I don't want to be an enabler, but I also don't want to sit here and let him crash and burn.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should go all the way back to the origin which I would be very curious, and you may not have the answer right now, but I would be very curious to hear what the answer is to what it is that you said about whether you feel like that is inherently who you are, or whether you feel like your mom developed that in you through how she parented, right? I think when you find the answer to that question, you're then going to be able to provide clarity to the way at which you parent can, because you understand the dynamic in how you were raised and how that created you. And then you can ask yourself, how do I want to develop Cam? Where do I need to pull back and let him learn on his own, or fall, or have to learn to pick himself up, versus you potentially standing in the space of enabling it, right? Now, what I will say, and just to breathe life into where you are, I mean, you are a great father. That's number one. You a great husband. You're a great man, right? You are intentional in loving on your family, and you support your children, right? In addition to that, you have children that have not only identified interests in their lives, but I would even gamble to say that those interests, if not already, will develop into gifts as well as a potential passion that they want to pursue for a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And so the beauty in that is that you already like there's some parents that still are waiting for their children to identify that. There's some adults that still haven't identified that. And so the fact that you have children that have already like started to walk down that path, all you got to do is just provide a little bit of light to that path. You don't have to keep them on the path. You don't have to put guardrails on the path. You don't have to walk for them, right? But if you continue to light that path, like driving to Alabama for sports, you know what I mean? Like in a day, a turn and burn, bruh. Like things that you've done, you're providing light to that path, and let them walk it.
I appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that.
I told you about the cry, Colin. That would have been a perfect moment. I think what we hearing too, though, we kind of transitioned into our topic today with the question, like, do you believe in like old school parenting or gentle parenting? And I think we're really like defining it in a sense right now. Because what I'm hearing from us is, in a way, old school parenting was kind of like, yo, I see something I don't like, stop it. Stop right now. Don't do that. But new school parenting is kind of giving me the vibe that it's like, it's more like, I see that response. It looks like my child's a little passionate, or it looks like my child has a lot of things going on in their mind and they forget. And so gentle parenting might be like recognizing the good in the response, and then being able to coach your child or do things that, push your child to process how to use that thing in a good way. Because I'm pretty sure what Ali got out of his daughter was passion. It's like, all right, cool. How you responded ain't gonna work, but I like that passion. How do we get you to use that in a way that's gonna be constructive for you and put the right stimulants in place to drive you in that direction? Same with your child, Colin, and then same with you. You know what I'm saying? Like versus old school, where old school is like, nah, I don't like it. Stop that shit right now.
Yeah. One other thing that I would add though, Colin, and this is for me, this is for everybody, right? What we all needed. But one thing that I would add is, if you could ask yourself the question of, what has my child identified, which is a lifetime skill or tool, right? Not the things that we don't use today. Like, I'm an engineer. I've taken all the way up to linear equations, differential equations, calculus 3. I don't use none of that stuff, right?
Right.
But does your child know work ethic? Does your child know discipline? You know what I mean? Does your child know self accountability? Like, if you can look at those things, which I could say for my nephew with basketball, he has work ethic. That's a life skill, bruh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He loves it that much where it's in him, not on him, right? And if you can check those boxes by asking that question, I would say that your child is on an imperfect path in life, which is the right path, because none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
He's going to learn along the way.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And to connect what you're saying and kind of where you just went, Yusha, it kind of goes back to when we were in the game and you brought up like Ali was asking like what's the gentle part of the parenting. I think that's it, man. It's the good parts of the old school that are still important in terms of providing this structure and a firm like expectation, them perseverance skills, but then the nuance of the new school is that communication, man. That open back and forth to make sure you provide understanding, but to also seek to listen and understand the child in a way that, that we didn't have, man.
No, old school gave you communication. It was just why you was getting that ass whooping. Did
Right.
not tell your
Right.
ass. You ain't heard
Right.
nothing.
It was hooked on phonics discipline. Like it's gonna beat. You gonna remember that. You gonna hear this over and over.
And then it was
Nah,
shut up, stop crying before I give you something to cry about. Lord, I'm being
yeah.
traumatized.
Look, here's the new one. Here's the new one, right? And this this brings social media into it, but it's a whole other thing. But here's the new one, in a good way though, in communication. So my oldest Cam, he has an Instagram page. We've recently, like, they both have one that we own. We more recently allowed him to like have it on his phone, but we also have like the parent access, so we see every message he sends and everything, so we could kind of monitor it, right? But his new communication thing he does with us, where we have to join his world of social media, because he don't do nothing on there but send video back and forth, basketball, stuff like that. His friends might meet up Roblox on there to talk Roblox. He'll send me and Michelle, he'll send us like little memes or like TikTok videos and stuff. But it'd be like of stuff that he wants us to like understand them. Let me give an example. Yesterday he sent me one. Um, and it was a lady talking about giving advice to like how we got to give our kids some grace when they get home from school sometime. Like if your kids giving you a little attitude or acting like they don't really want to talk, or they just give you a little funk after school and you like pressing them out, looking at them crazy, right? You're not getting nothing. Like consider that what a day of school looks like and feels like for them. Like 7 classes a day. Everybody got different expectations. Sit here, do that. Control your emotions. You can't talk too much. No outlet here. Like all day long. And then like when they come home, like they might be a little exhausted. Like think about how you feel when you got a busy day full of meetings back to back and a bunch of deadlines and assignments, and like that's every day for them. And he sent that to me, and I was like almost like, damn, like is he trying to tell me that I be doing too much sometime when I come home? But I just love that he had that platform and that vehicle to be like, when I saw this, something in me made me want to send it to you, Dad. So now that I look at it, what do I do with that? Like, I bet. I just responded like I loved it. I was just like, I feel that. But maybe later on we'll have a conversation, but it's like, okay.
This the challenge. This is the exact challenge I feel like I'm dealing with in terms of what y'all just said, because there's so much confliction right now. Right. The question we had on the this or that was, would you rather social media be raise your kids, or would you rather raise your kids? In this situation, Colin, right? Nephew sends you a social media post that in hopes of describing what he is feeling, or right, in hopes of communicating to you, this is how I want to be treated. So like I'm sitting here hearing that, and I'm like, well, that isn't something that Colin doesn't already know. He's an educator. He knows what his child is. But here here's what I'm
Go
saying.
ahead, I'm hearing you out.
Hear me out. Like if a parent was having an issue, I'm pretty sure you could arise to the conclusion at some point in your career, if you haven't already, that they're coming home with a lot of work, right? Mm-hmm. And that X, Y, and Z, you should da. Here's where I'm saying social media comes in. It is you not being. It creates a blind spot, an unnecessary blind spot for you that you know is you know it, but because like social media exists in this world, right? it's the first person to teach your kid that, or it's the first person to expose your kid that, and he's using it. So I'm not saying this in a bad way, right?
Mhm.
This is the problem I'm saying I'm conflicted with in this space, because social media creates placency. It creates like unintentions, right? Where like the kid is now being
I
taught
see what you're
first
saying.
initially about how his emotions is, and then like you now have to interpret that. It's just it's
Yeah, I see what
it's
you're saying.
I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with what you just said from a standpoint of he's being taught his emotions. What I heard from what Colin was saying is that he identified with a post that communicated it in a way that he did not know how to communicate it. And because he heard it and it was articulated in a way that resonated with him, he wanted to share it with his father, because if he was to have a voice-to-voice conversation, it may not have come out in the same way. But then the parenting part that still trumps social media raising your kid, you raising your kid, is, Colin, what will you do with that post once you receive it from him? What communication comes after that? That's the parenting part.
So here's the trigger for that, right? I was doing in a professional development one time with this doctor around psychology who was basically talking to teachers about their own stress levels. But what she was breaking down for us scientifically, and Colin may know this, right, being in the science world, is that the difference between bad stress and good stress, right? And bad stress is the stuff that tears your body up, it tears you down. Good stress is the stress that actually helps you grow and become. The difference between bad stress and good stress is perception. It ain't the actual stress. You see what I'm saying? It's how you perceive the stress. And so if the son is getting this information from social media that's saying, hey, this day that you just went through is stressful. It should shut you down. It's okay if it shuts you down. Then it's giving him a perception that you come through 7 courses and you can't go do this. When we came from an era where we didn't have that. So we were only getting what our parents gave us. And most of us, we went through that same day and still went to sports. And then some of us still went to work after that. You see what I'm saying? Like,
and I don't
But
disagree.
was that healthy?
But listen,
shit, it was for me.
I don't disagree with what Sean is saying. The confliction is what I'm in it is the interpretation that you now as a parent have to figure out what to interpret. For example, if the person said they resonated with something that changes their gender or what they like or what they going to, right? And they resonate with it. They think they resonate with it, or they feel like they resonate with it, right? You then have to interpret it versus maybe it not being there and you having that conversation, because you already know you've been through that 20 years ago. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I
like
got what you're saying. I got what you're saying. I even heard you when you was like, but you know this already, and I was like, yeah, but I got blind spots with my own kids. And then when my eyes are open, I'm like, dang, I knew that though. Like, why did I miss that with my own? But yeah, I see that side, and that's the balance in that with this exposure. I think we're never. It's no playbook for this, man. Like, because we can't even. So what was that? This or that question? Like, would you rather raise your kids in today or in the back history? I pick old school because it's like at least we know what it is, and we can like. But like every generation, we're raising our child in a different setting than our parents did. So it's like you can kind of take from what they did, but not really, because they ain't have these things that our kids have. We ain't have. You know, so it's no playbook. I think the best we could do is kind of share stories and communicate like this to learn from each other. But we all kind of building this plane on the runway and trial and error and figuring it out. I think the best thing I'm doing right now, if I can give any advice to anybody, is like specifically to social media, but anything that you could replace social media with, is like treat that thing like a car, man. Like you're not gonna give a 10-year-old keys to the Tahoe, right? But eventually they're gonna have keys to the Tahoe, but you got to gradual release that thing, man. Like what are the baby steps to that? So specifically to social media, like first you have a page, but you don't have access to it. You can only post through us. Like then later on, it was just like, okay, we're gonna give you this, but we have access to everything you have access to. So we see everything you're doing on here. Give us an opportunity to even coach you. We've had to have coaching conversations on stuff that's shown up in DMs with him from friends and friend groups. But not tripping, like that's your life, but like, hey, so how you let me talk to you how you know what I'm saying? So
I mean, I'm hearing a common theme throughout all of this, and a common theme that I'm hearing is like, so going back to what Ali was saying as far as interpreting, right? Let's replace interpreting with perception. What I truly believe in any relationship, whether it is a marital relationship or a relationship even with your kids, is that the goal is for perception and the intention to run parallel. Anytime that is perpendicular and they're clashing, it creates an issue. And so, how do you get the intention and the perception to run parallel? The way that you do that is through communication, right? And so, there can be an intention through sending that social media, whatever it is, even if it's about the mixed, the gender identity, this, that, and the third, right? The intention could be one thing, your perception could be another thing. However, in order to get those to run parallel, you have to communicate, right? And so it's just important to communicate. In addition to understanding that, you know, God is the source, right? We have resources, but God is the source. So tying it into parenting, we were blessed by God to be the parents of our children. It's important for us to always stand in the place of being the source when it comes to parenting and how our children are parented.
Yeah.
Social media can be a resource, but we are the source. Again, communication, right? So using those as tools along the way, but communicating constantly with your child and being the source of how they're parented.
Yeah, perception and
Yeah.
intention, and not only communicate between those gaps and lines, but at some point there has to be an action that brings those two together for it to like be in sync. So there has to be an action as well as the communication. I wanna note something here that we probably need to talk about in the next episode because it is very real. It's
We
not
got
going to be
Patreon still too.
yeah, but it's not even a Patreon episode, to be honest with you. It's the fact that like you're going to be fathering through AI, not social media.
We are building bionic kids.
And I'm telling you all, right, your kids are asking AI questions that you might want to check. So be careful giving them access to AI as well. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, but I was about to bring that up too, but I said that's a worm.
That's a whole. That's what I'm saying. It's a whole nother episode, y'all, for real.
Interesting. Well, look, on that note, hey, maybe a part 2, maybe on some of our, you know, we got a couple other little series we've been working on. We might do something on that while we're still in Father's Day. On that note, I don't think we said it yet, but happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. You know, that are doing a great job, and all the father figures out there. Hey, so you know, we getting ready to transition here in a minute, but for my Patreon folks, you already know what it is. We got something extra for you all. Cause Ali, hey, you brought up something earlier. I got questions about this dating thing with these girls, and you brought up that gender stuff. Man, it's a couple other little things we can continue the conversation on for our Patreon folks.